Cotney Attorneys and Consultants is dedicated to helping the construction industry with legal, business, and safety challenges. Welcome to this week's episode of Law and Mortar with John Kenny and Trent Cotney.
Hey, I'd like to welcome everybody to another episode of Law and Mortar. I'm Trent Cotney, CEO of Cotney Attorneys and Consultants. And with me, I've got John Kenny, CEO of Cotney Consulting Group. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here today.
Yeah, man, it's been a busy week. We got a lot to talk about. Next week, we've actually got something really cool happening. We have, for those of you that don't know, we've got a training center here in our office. It's about 3,500 square feet. What we've done is we've lined it with old porcelain and metal roofing signs. So it's about 300 plus signs, a lot of history there. But we built a lot of mock-ups. We have steep slope, low slope, wall panels, you name it. And we have NRCA coming down. They're in the process of doing some analysis for their Tile Pro certification. So beginning of next week, we've got some crews coming up from different contractors, and they're going to be down here doing that. It's real neat. Glad we could kind of work with NRCA on this. So looking forward to that. John, are you going to get out there and get hands-on?
Yeah, Jimmy and I get a chance to go ahead and do some QA in ourselves, along with the guys coming down from NRCA. I think we have 2 or 3 companies sending some people up. Everybody's kind of running through. This is the experimental final version of the exam, and looking forward to it. Should be good. Yeah, I always like to get hands-on. That's a fun part of the job.
Yeah, I'm going to sneak out there too. Hopefully you guys don't kick me out, but I'd like to take a look and see what's going on. So next thing I'm real excited about, John, is you've got a service webinar coming up. If I remember right, it's in a couple of weeks. But I'm curious to kind of see what you're going to talk about. I've obviously known you for a long time. I knew you were integrally involved in service department and multiple roofing contractors. So why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about, when it is, and what listeners can look forward to?
Yeah, it's going to be the end of this coming month in March. You'll see the promotion coming out on it on the 27th, 28th. Why I say that, we're still booking the time, but Monday it'll be launched. Everything will be out to promotional. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give a little history of my beginnings with building the first service department back in the 80s, because no one really had service departments there. You kind of threw your crews out. You did a little bit of work and so far moved on. So we're going to cover how that process has worked over the years and all the way up to developing hardline service companies, and give you a lot of tips on software, on how to hire, how to build it, all the way up to how to be profitable, what works, what doesn't work. There's going to be a lot jammed into that hour. That much I can tell you, a lot.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I tell you, if this whole law thing doesn't work out, I'm going to get into a service department. That's for sure.
Well, you watch that webinar, you'll be ready to start one. We got you covered.
Let's do it. So we talked about tile, talked about service. I want to blend the two together a little bit. So if you're doing residential tile work, tile requires maintenance, right? You got algae related issues, you got cracked tile, especially if you've got clay up on the roof. If you get a hailstorm or anything like that, you're going to have a lot to replace. How can roofing contractors maximize the maintenance and residential service aspect of a tile roof?
Sure. Especially a lot of tiles on high-end homes, people don't want to have any issues. They don't want to have leaks. So you can easily set them up on a bi-yearly inspection plan, depending on what part of your country you're in. Usually, fall and spring work the best, regardless where you're at, and they'll pay for it. I guarantee you, people are willing to pay for a service that they get. It's no different than having someone come out and maintain your furnace, maintain your air conditioning, your pool, your lawns. It's all the same concept. It's how you go to market with it. And it's real easy. I mean, tile gets cracked. It happens. It could be a tree branch. It could be a storm. It could be weather related that does it, and they're easily replaced. For the most part, it may, blend it in and let them know. I find it to be a good model of the business, and I don't think a lot of residential contractors have grown into this. It's mainly been your commercial end that's really developed well into the maintenance, but we're gonna cover some of those things, and I recommend highly that they use it as part of their business model.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the kind of thing where you get in there. It's like any maintenance contract. You get it signed up. You got a customer that's ready to go when that time for that roof replacement comes. So, and also you got to think if a homeowner has invested in a tile roof, more than likely they're very keen on the aesthetic appearance. So being able to get up there, maintain it, make sure it's got good street appeal. That's going to be something that you can cash in on.
Yeah, include that in your maintenance plan with the homeowners. Have it order, have it set up to be power washed, algae resistant, whatever, depending on the area of the country. But they'll definitely appreciate it. I guarantee it.
So we also, right before we came in here, we saw a final copy of your book, which I'm very, very excited about. And what I'd like to do is for those of you that listen to our podcast, if you email either me or John, and the emails are at the end of this, we're going to send you a free copy of that book. Okay. But you've got to say that how you heard it, right? You got to say that you listened to this podcast. So John, I'm assuming you're all right with that, right?
Absolutely. It's all about getting out there and educating educating our industry.
So I know you talked about it before, but why don't you tell people just a sort of snapshot of what your book's about?
Sure. Well, I'll start out, kind of give you an oversight of how I see the industry, kind of, what the roofing industry is and what to expect in it. So I should say, I put this book together that you can be a newcomer into running your business. You could be somebody that's just started out, or you could be pretty much a veteran. There's something in there for everybody. So we cover everything about what to expect, how to read financials, how to hire, kind of, what HR hat you're going to be wearing, how to develop into hiring people to fill these roles. We have a section in there that deals with safety, OSHA, risk management. We got sections in there that deal with your estimating, sales, marketing, business development. So we cover all that. And we have a section in there that, Trent, you are definitely co-author on that part, on the contracts and understanding. That was a very important chapter to get in there for everybody to understand what to look for. We kind of geared it to give you an example of what to look for. And I think in managing subcontractors, that's another important chapter that's in there. Not only managing subcontractors you may hire to do, we cover to do work that you don't do, but also how to manage your labor subcontractors as well. So that's in there, big part in the industry. And then at the end, I close it out with a view in technology, how software today works, where we see software going in the next couple of years, and kind of give you that look ahead in the industry. So it'll be great. We bring out a new version in a year or two and update it with technology to see how close we were to calling that one.
Yeah, and I can tell, our listeners, in reading it, there's some great stories in there. This is not a boring read. It's something that I think if you get it and take a look at it, you're definitely going to learn something. There's a lot of insight in there. Obviously, I'm not a roofing contractor, but in reading it, there were stories in there that I could take to heart, and it kind of inspired me. I'm working on a book right now about entrepreneurship and things like that, and it kind of got my juices flowing as far as trying to figure out where do I go and how do I do that, and just the thought process. So really excited about that for you, John. I think it's going to be a great book, well received. Something else that I think I should mention is we are announcing Cotney Capital Corporation on Monday. And what it is we decided that it was time that we used our resources to get out there and be able to help sort of the future of the industry. We are going to be offering angel investment, venture capital, and also an incubation program that will combine mentorship, training, not just on operations and things of that nature, but assistance with go-to-market strategies, assistance with marketing, making the right connections. And it's one of the things that, John, when I looked out there at the landscape of what the VC and investment world was, there's a lot of companies that dabble in it, but few combine our expertise, right? I mean, we have the capability of sort of paving the way for these new companies. And I'm really excited about that because I think it gives us an opportunity to not only educate, but to help foster and mentor, hopefully, the new technology, equipment, and manufacturing processes that continue in the future. So real excited about that. I know you've been sort of psyched about it as well. And I think we're going to have a big launch here next week.
And it's also a great way, the way this is set up, we're tying in the educational aspect with the research, I should say, is the educational research with current technology in the industry, and then that futurism of the development of where things are going. So absolutely. Plus you have that mentorship, as you said, in there, and leadership abilities as well. So it should be an exciting operation.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked a lot today, but as you know, John, we've got a pop quiz at the end of every Law and Mortar. So this week, and we're backlogged on questions. We got more than 30 questions, but this one I think is timely. So I'm kind of bumping this one up. The question for this week is from James, and James's question is, it's tax time, and obviously he's a contractor. He wants to know, what recommendations do we have for the contracting world right now as it relates to preparing taxes and just thinking about, how to maximize your, the benefits that you can get from certain things and reduce your tax liability. So John, I'll let you start off.
Well, I think from a business standpoint, you're to the point where it's probably not a lot of write-offs you could still do at this point, by time-wise, but I think it's a great time to make sure you've accounted for all of that. What I mean is you have your receipts, what you've done, and in the accounting world, they like to call them accrual buckets. Make sure you've covered everything that was an expense that belonged in last year that, may be coming out a delayed payment. Your accountants can definitely help you with that. That's a little more detail, but those are the things. Make sure everything's in order for your accountant, for your tax preparer. That can save you a lot of money in tax preparation time, which you can pick up a lot of savings on that, and be prepared, have everything ready for them to, and explain, what everything is, and have it in a nice format. It'll save a lot of money in preparation time. So that's really, I look at it from a business standpoint,
Yeah, from legal, we've been getting a ton of questions about a lot of the, stimulus type acts and plans that came out last year and how that affects taxes. So obviously I defer to tax professionals out there. I'm not one of them, but I can tell you that, there are some things you need to look at. One is the Consolidated Appropriations Act, which allows you to defer payroll tax. My understanding is that has now been extended to December of this year. So definitely consult with your tax advisor on that, if that is an option that you've chosen to do. There's the employee retention credit that has to do with retaining employees because of COVID-19. And don't forget the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. To the extent that there was paid time off or sick leave as a result of coronavirus, you might be eligible for a tax credit. So this year is different than previous years. Obviously you have to think about where you want to go with things, how you want to do it. Sometimes it's an either or option. So definitely consult with your accountant, your tax professional, to kind of think about this ahead of time before taxes are due. So with that, I'm going to end, and I just want to thank everybody for listening to us. If you have any questions for us, please let us know. Reach out to us. Tell us we're good, we're bad, whatever. Let us know. You can reach me at Trent Cottney at tcottney@cotneycl.com. And John, how can they get you?
jkenny at cotneycl.com.
Great. Well, we appreciate you guys, and stay tuned next week for another episode of Law and Mortar.
See you then.